synthetic DNA contamination in Pfizer and Moderna's COVID-19 drugs. This is not merely a scientific anomaly. It is a national crisis, one that affects every Australian family, every individual who places their trust in our public health system. The findings of synthetic DNA contamination are now irrefutable. From Kevin McKernan, former Director of Research for the Human Genome Project, to David Speech's Australian lab work, to Professor Philip Buchholz, groundbreaking cancer research in South Carolina, and now the world's leading molecular biologist and also Doctor of Medicine, Dr. Didier Ruart, together with Dr. Jessica Rose, Dr. David Wiseman, Dr. Maria Gucci, Professor Koenig, Bridget, and with her German colleague, Dr. Jürgen Kirchner. Each has confirmed the presence of excessive levels of synthetic DNA contamination in the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 products, vials spanning the globe, and therefore contamination affecting the global population. Kevin McKernan's research, way back in February of 2023, the 16th of February to be exact, was when Kevin first transmitted to the world, Houston, we have a problem. On that day, Kevin stepped forward to say, in effect, the world appears to have been injected with excessive levels of synthetic DNA contamination. Dr. Speech corroborated these findings in Australian vials, finding levels up to 150 times above old regulatory limits for naked DNA. Professor Koenig confirmed similar numbers in Germany, and Didier Ruart's team recently found strikingly similar contamination in France. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a regional issue, it is a global catastrophe. Let me share one particularly chilling finding from Professor Buchholz's research. This contamination is not merely present, it integrates into natural human DNA. Worse, recent studies, that's by Kevin and his crew, suggest it may also self-replicate. I must say that term again and slowly. Self-replicate. This stuff is living independently. We are potentially dealing with a biogenic time bomb, contamination capable of altering human genomes with devastating consequences forever. In Australia, the Therapeutic Goods Administration, the TGA, the very body tasked with ensuring the safety of our medical products, has failed us miserably. On October 18, the TGA released a statement dismissing these findings as misinformation. But this statement has been systematically dismantled in a thorough analysis co-authored by investigative journalist Rebecca Barnett alongside scientists and legal experts. That analysis highlights 14 separate false or misleading claims made by the TGA. And who within the TGA has stepped forward to defend this statement? No one. No names, no credentials, just facialist bureaucracy hiding behind its logo. The time for waiting has long passed. The time for action is now. Right Shield councils demand they protect their communities, join hands with those who are stepping forward, often at great personal cost, to speak the truth. Challenge the disgusting silence of Canberra and let the echo of your voices shake the walls of every institution that has failed us. We are not just fighting for answers. With the many contamination results, the need for answers has nearly passed. What is now required is action. But in the process, this fight, this war to see honesty prevail and the sick and wounded and dead cared for and future generations protected, we are fighting for the soul of our nation and for every generation that follows. Thank you.
I would like you all to give a warm welcome to One Nation Senator for Queensland, Senator Malcolm Roberts.
Death data itself, the number of deaths, doesn't really mean much if the population is growing or varying. You've got to look at mortality rates per 100,000 people to standardise against an increased population. The 21st century, the last 24 years, we've had mortality rates declining. 2020 was the lowest this century, 491 deaths per 100,000 people. That mortality took a sharp swing up in 2021 and 2022 because of the COVID injections. Not because of COVID injections. Queensland and Western Australia, we believe, were the only two places in the world where the people were injected before COVID arrived. So we know it wasn't COVID, it was the injections. We know that for sure. But what's worse is that the mortality rate is not going back down. There's been a slight decrease, but it's been sustained above the long-term trend, above the upper range and around about 8 to 10,000 deaths. But the mortality rate is now higher and sustainably higher. It's not going away. It's very closely correlated with injections, COVID injections, especially the booster. I'm going to read a quote from the paper called The Correlation Between, this is a peer-reviewed scientific paper, The Correlation Between Australian Excess Deaths by State and Booster Vaccinations by D. Allen, School of Mathematics and Statistics, University of Sydney. The abstract, summarising the paper. The study explores the relationship by Australia's state between COVID booster vaccinations and excess deaths. Quite clear. There is evidence of a very strong correlation in ordinary least squares regression analysis. Cross-validation tests support the strength of the regression relationship. The results suggest that it would be worthwhile to explore these associations in greater depth, as it is an important public health issue. If they cared, they would do it, but they don't. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We need a Royal Commission now. I will continue until we hound these bastards down. We want justice, compensation, trust and accountability. Why? Because humans care, we care, you care. That's why you're here tonight. Thank you so much.
Well done, mate. Warm welcome to one of the finest men I've ever met, Professor Ian Brightope.
Thank you very much, Graham. And thank you. I would never have dreamt that I'd be standing here in Perth speaking to a lovely group of people about